What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another stream. If you guys were here yesterday, we were talking about Godzilla versus Kong, had a bunch of great guests and had a lot of fun doing that. But today we're going to be doing a long overdue video that I've been wanting to do for weeks now. And then I thought maybe it's just too late. Let me not waste my time. And then I'm like, you know what? People are right now watching The Falcon and the Winter Soldier and are still discussing WandaVision. So we're going to be doing a spoiler discussion today, going episode by episode. We are starting a lot later than intended, which, life happens, technical difficulties. But here we are. Let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my first guest, one of my longest friends in all of my life. We've been doing stuff in real life for so many years. We used to play in a band together. He's been here on the channel many, many times. Let's welcome our first guest, the Big Rob Theory. What's going on, man? Yep, I thought you were going to say something,
but
no.
How you doing? It's good to be back.
No, very happy to have you here on the channel.
It's just lagging
on the channel. You gotta love the lag. Hopefully that's not too much of an issue on your guys' side. Hopefully the internet will, do its job. But let's go ahead and introduce the next guest, somebody who's been here on the channel many, many times. Started with Undercover Brother, and it's gone on since many, many times. Tajaya, the man, the myth, the legend behind Blacktastic Media. What's going on, my friend?
My man. What's going on, man? Feeling good. Glad I'm here.
Yeah, man. Super happy to have you on. Also, this next guest has been here on the channel quite a few times now. We started with Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, and most recently did Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. Let's welcome Gerard from the channel Cinematic Tendency. What's going on, my friend?
How you doing? Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. Oh, Blacktastic, the Undercover Brother video review, that was awesome, guys.
Oh man, we had a blast doing that.
I remember watching that video. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I definitely. I knew that when I first had Blacktastic on the channel, I had to have him do something like Undercover Brother with us. So, yeah. And then our final guest here, first time on the channel, but we do have an upcoming review coming out together for the movie The Skeleton Key. The one and only Willy Le Sante. What's going on, my friend?
What's up, guys?
Super happy to have you guys on here. It's time to talk about WandaVision. We're going to go episode by episode. Hopefully there's not too much lag or other technical difficulties. Sorry again for starting late. Before we even get into the individual episodes, let's start with the Big Rob Theory, and we'll just go around and see what were your general thoughts on WandaVision now that it's all wrapped up. What were you thinking at the beginning, and how did you feel at the end?
So, to be honest with you, I really love the character, the Scarlet Witch, in the comics as well. Seeing especially Elizabeth Olsen play this character and do it so well, it was really, really well done. I loved how the show started and how it ended. I loved how they went from each decade, and did everything in such great storytelling. It was just such great storytelling, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I don't want to talk too much because I know that other guys got to go, but it was really, really well done in my opinion, and I didn't expect it to go the way it went, but I am happy to see that it did end up being what we have, and we'll obviously get more into detail. But yeah, I loved it, man. I mean, me, we have similar likes when it comes to stuff like this. It was just a phenomenal show. Really well done.
For sure, man. What about you, Blacktastic? What did you think about this season?
Man, it was a breath of fresh air. As you guys, some of you guys might know and might not know, I'm not a comic book reader. I'm more into movies and TV, so this was new. It was fresh. I knew some of the characters. A lot of the characters I learned about from Age of Ultron for the first time. Scarlet Witch, all those people I learned for the first time watching that movie. So to see it bleed over into TV, Disney Plus, the originality, man, and I've never seen nothing like that. I grew up in a time, I also watched those shows back in the day that was in black and white. So it was kind of like, man, bringing the old, the new, and make it mesh was brilliant, man. So I'm not a comic book nerd, but I love the cinema of comic book history, and it was great.
For sure, man. Yeah, I love hearing that. I love knowing that this was. I love that we're going into this right out of the gate. Before we continue with the thoughts, we're going into this with various different kind of outlooks. You have those of us, like I know, like Robert and I, huge into comic books growing up. So we're able to pull from that a little bit, and I know at least for you now, you said that some of these characters were new to you due to things like Age of Ultron. So let's move along. Willie, what was your thoughts on this season?
I am a huge fan of the show. I love Marvel and DC. I grew up with both. I don't have a horse in the race, but where Marvel, it's rare to get a Suicide Squad. It's also very safe. WandaVision was the first Marvel thing I've ever seen where I didn't know how it was going to end. It kept you guessing. Everyone had theories, and the fact that you didn't know, and it wasn't so safe, and it was so different. Like, you got to give Marvel full credit for that, dude. Like, I didn't know they were capable of that. Everything is so wash, rinse, and repeat with their formula. Even Infinity War. As soon as I saw Spider-Man and Black Panther go, I'm like, okay, this is going to get retconned right away because there's no way they're going to die. They just started their franchises. So it's like, this is the first Marvel thing I've ever seen where I didn't know how it would end, and I loved it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got to agree with that. There was that element of it being just so bizarre also, and like Blacktastic said, like, it's a mix of, like you said, like not knowing what's going to happen and it being a breath of fresh air, something so different, so bizarre. And I've already seen people saying that they love Falcon and the Winter Soldier tons more. And it has a little bit more of what you have kind of expect from a Marvel thing, like the action, that kind of feel and vibe. But what I love about WandaVision is it just really stands out. Like, it really stands out. If you look at the whole list of everything that's come out in this series, it really stands out. So yeah, I gotta throw it to you now, Gerard. Cinematica, what were your thoughts on this season?
Oh, I really liked it. It was something different, like some of you were saying. It was very different, and I think that's why some people, at least some people that I know, they were not used to see something, a show like an MCU show that was very different, and it was a huge turnoff for some of them. And like one of my coworkers, he's a huge Spider-Man fan. He's a lot into Marvel, but with that show, he's like, I just watched the first two, and he's like, I'm out. And I was like, dude, you gotta keep watching it. I'm like, wait until episode 4 because he had a lot of questions. I'm like, everybody has a lot of questions, especially on the first 3 episodes. There's a lot of questions. I'm like, stick around until episode 4, and then in episode 4, you're gonna get some answers for your questions. And I don't know if he continue watching. I know he's watching Winter Soldier right now. So, but I don't know. I'm gonna ask him next time I see him if he's gonna, if he finished the WandaVision. But I really like the black and white. I don't know why I'm a huge fan of black and white shows, even though those are like way before my time. And I liked a lot about having the screen ratio. What is that word? Like,
yeah, the 4:3 screen. Yeah, the ratio. The
aspect
ratio.
Yeah, I like that part, and just like black and white photography. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say for now.
Cool, man. Yeah, well, I loved hearing all your general thoughts. Clearly, we were all fans of the show. Also, I am hearing a slight bit of feedback on somebody's side. I don't know if you guys hear that at all. So I'm not sure which side that may be coming from. I know my side, I have mine set to like kind of like doesn't have that echo on my end, but maybe it could be, now that I think about it, it could be you, Willie, that since you're using a phone. I know that like with Robert, I had him use headphones. So if you have headphones, that'd be awesome. If not, we can figure it out. It's no biggie. Yeah, it's just part of being live. So anyway, let's hop right into the first couple episodes. We could probably just squeeze the first 2 episodes together the way that they did for us by launching it that way. First episode, filmed before a live studio audience. We see Wanda and Vision with this really goofy theme song taking us right back to the 50s. And just being this very over the top, on the nose, very silly episode where the two of them have a heart on a specific date, and they have absolutely no idea what it is, and they both are trying to guess what's going on. It's just a silly, goofy episode, and for the most part, it really commits to that. And they actually did film it in front of a live studio audience, like those old shows. And so it's interesting just to be able to see Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen in this very over-the-top sitcom-y way, kind of just, I don't know, just being silly. And I really thoroughly enjoyed seeing their performance. As an episode in the MCU, it was incredibly bizarre. And I'm really glad that we got that really dark moment at the end of the episode where we see, we find out that they were actually going to have dinner with Mr. Hart, and we learn that he is, in fact, we get this moment where he chokes on his food at the end when they're having dinner, and we get that quick moment where the wife is kind of responding strangely. She keeps saying, "Stop it." She's kind of getting all teary-eyed, and it seems like something's wrong there. Wanda tells Vision to stop it. Everything about the tone, the ambiance of the episode changed right then in that moment, and it made for a very just interesting episode. So, overall, live in front of a studio audience, I believe is what it's called, or filmed before a live studio audience. Let's start with Gerard this time around. What were your thoughts on this first episode of the series?
On that first episode, one of the things I liked a lot, it was like a lot of attention to detail in the production for a show from the 60s. And I even noticed it. I don't want this to come off like the wrong way, but if you have seen those shows, like the original shows from the 650s, like some of the women, they had like pointy boobs, right? I don't know if you've seen those or you noticed that. Anyway, in that show, Wanda had the same. Like she's wearing like this, I don't know if it's like that kind of bra from back in the day, but I don't know. I mean, I noticed that, and I was like, oh, that's a lot of attention to detail in that production.
I'm sure it is.
And I didn't get to review the episodes, but I thought about that. I was like, if I were to review an episode, I had to mention that because I just noticed it. And if you go back and watch I Love Lucy or one of those shows from that time, you're gonna notice that.
But no, yeah, definitely.
For sure, yeah, no, that's something I didn't even think about, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that outlook on it. Really quickly, before we keep going, I did realize that the audio was still happening, and so I did mute a couple of you guys to see who it possibly was. It seems like it's you, Tajaya. I don't know. It just seems like there's feedback coming from your eyes. So if you have headphones or earbuds or something, that'd be awesome.
Let me.
So you just made me run around the house like a maniac looking for headphones.
I seen that. Okay, I'm gonna go grab some. I'll be back.
I was gonna say I was hoping that would be you would have just brushed that under the rug, but
yeah, no, I muted it. I'm like, I woke up my daughter. She's got school tomorrow. I'm like, wake up! Where are your headphones? It got brutal, but yeah.
Well, now I feel terrible.
No, don't.
No, I'm just kidding. But all right, cool. So yeah, definitely loved hearing your thoughts. Any thoughts on the way that the episode ended, Cinematic?
It ended when she said with a beekeeper. Is that right? I'm trying to remember.
The beekeeper was the end of the second episode.
Mm-hmm. I believe. I'm trying to remember the ending of the first one. Then
it's the weirdest moment we get with the end of the first one is that whole thing that I was just mentioning about the husband or the guy, the boss that comes over to have dinner. He's like choking. You have the older woman like, stop it. She just keeps saying stop it. And then, eventually, like everything about that scene, the tone just changes so much. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, that's when I think that's the first time when we get to see like there is something going on, because you said, like the whole time, like the whole show, there's like this happy music and everything is wonderful, everything is beautiful, and it's not until his boss is choking, and the whole tone changes and the music changes and the wife keeps saying stopping, and it feels a little creepy, like at the beginning. Well, not at the beginning, but after she starts laughing and says stop it, and I'm like, okay, where are they going with this? So that's when I was like, okay, there is something dark in this show, and so that's what I remember.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, definitely loved hearing your thoughts on that, man. What about you, Willie? What did you think about this first episode?
Whew. Bro, I freaking love that shit. Is it a language thing or no?
No, you could say whatever you want.
Bro, I fucking love that episode, dude. Oh my God. I was like, what the fuck? It's like, holy shit. No, like, it was like, you know why? Because it was like some Twilight Zone creepy ass shit. Like everything. Even like, I was just like, okay, this is like, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know where it was going. but it was Twilight Zone as shit. Everything was like sadistic and nasty. There was like a layer of like horror, even though there was no horror, except for that one part where the lady goes all fucking Soundgarden like Black Hole Sun with the big smile and the creepy shit when her husband's choking. Like, other than that, bro, that shit was fucking. I was like, oh my god, this is not Marvel. This is like DC does the dark shit. This is great. And no, I fucking loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I was like, well, that's not true, but it was great in this show. I'm like, I know Marvel fans were a lot of Marvel fans, not everybody, were like watching this, like not knowing what to think. And yeah, dude, the first episode to me was like badass.
For sure, man. No, yeah, I'm glad that you liked it so much, because I know for me the first episode was cool, but I wasn't like crazy about it. But I was super into it. I was like very much like, oh, I can't wait to see what's next. So I'm glad to know that it grabbed you right out of the gate. You know what I mean? And it's cool to see the different ways that it kind of grabbed people.
It did, because it was just so refreshing. Like what Blacktastic said, it was so refreshing. It was a breath of fresh air. I'm like, I never knew Marvel would go this route.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what Blacktastic Media said. It was like, what the fuck? Like, oh, they're doing this? And it was just, I was like, again, I'm like, okay, this might have a shelf life, this whole novelty, but for right now, it was fucking mind blowing. I'm so sorry, Anthony. I know I just went on a tangent.
Bro, you should have seen the Justice League stream, and you should have seen the Godzilla versus Kong stream last night. I had Rashad G reviews, Blacktastic, and Q reviews on Justice League. There were F-bombs being thrown around everywhere, so trust me when I say you're good. But to Jaya,
no, I wasn't apologizing about the language. I was apologizing because I kept going on and on.
Oh no, you're good, bro. You're good. That's what we're.
Fuck the language, whatever.
Oh.
No,
I think you said the F-bombs and then you apologized. So I was like, oh, that's all good. What about you, Tajai? What did you think about this first episode?
Man, instant.
Hold on. We don't hear you, bro. We don't hear you.
Oh.
Hold on. He's not muted on my end. No, hold on. I mean, I just muted you to unmute you. See if that works. Oh, it says that your mic isn't connected.
I think he's muted.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute it
Yeah,
here.
okay.
It says can't unmute your guest. The mic isn't connected. Bro, even if you have to go without the headphones and we have that little bit of feedback, I'd rather that. It's all good. You gotta love technical difficulties. Yeah, I still can't hear you, man. What is going on?
he's dropping some amazing knowledge right now, and we're not hearing it.
I know.
Yeah, for real.
He's just like dropping the mic, and we're not even hearing it.
That's so strange. Hold on.
That's weird.
On your screen, Tajaya, it should say something there, like in the bottom, like where you can like change out like which mic it is that you're using. Like on the it should be there at the bottom of the screen. There should be some sort of option for something like that. But we'll definitely hear your thoughts about the first episode once you get that figured out there. Sorry about all the technical difficulties tonight, everybody. Oh, there you go.
Hear you.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
Now,
okay.
if I plug this in, you think it'll do the same thing again?
I don't know. We can give it a shot, but
I'm trying to get rid of all the feedback. How's that?
Now
yeah,
hear you
it sounds good now.
Yeah,
loud
you're
and
good.
clear.
Oh, it happened again. It happened again. Just take the headphones out. It's good, bro. Don't worry about it. Life does indeed happen. I'm over here with allergies. Got Willie with his, sexy poses. I don't. For anybody who doesn't know, I just realized nobody knows what we're talking about. Right before the stream, Willie's like screen was kept freezing, but he was like just posing in all these different positions, and then it would freeze.
No, dude,
yeah,
it froze.
funny.
That's not true. It froze. It looked like I had Down syndrome, dude. It was bad.
Oh
That shit stayed
God!
up there
No.
for like 20 minutes, dude. No.
I thought you looked cool, man. I thought you looked good. All right, let me see. On your screen, Tajaya, it still says that your mic isn't plugged in, so you may have to just do that thing that you had done right before on the screen, and then you should be good.
Okay, let's try to.
There you go.
How's that?
Yeah, you're good now. Cool. You're good. All right, so let's hear your thoughts on the first
Yeah, that was
episode.
crazy. Man, is Scarlet Witch in this motherfucker or something? Goddamn. With my damn TV. When I first seen the first episode, man, instant nostalgia of my childhood. I grew up on I Love Lucy, the Dick Van Dyke Show, and that was a straight reenactment of the Dick Van Dyke Show. The live audience and everything. So instantly I was like, oh man, this is my childhood growing up during the summer when my parents was at work and I was out of school. It was so clever. I didn't know what they were doing because all the trailers, I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Is Wanda controlling everything? Is somebody else controlling everything? And remember, I'm kind of new to this. So by the time it got to the end of the episode, when everything started to flip out, like my man said, it reminded me of the Twilight Zone. And I'm like, man, they're hitting on all cylinders. Like my man, Cinematic Tendency, I love black and white. If you've been in my channel, 99% of my stuff is filmed in black and white. It reminds me of the classic era of cinema and TV. And for Marvel to pull this rap out of the hat, dude, it blew my mind because their formula, Stevie Wonder could see their formula coming a mile away. We know what's going to happen, you know. But this show, I don't know what was going to happen. I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, man, this is brilliant TV making. And then it went from light to quirky to dark, all within 23 minutes. I absolutely loved episode 1. I was hooked. No show in the last 3 years had better cliffhangers than WandaVision. It was brilliant.
For sure. Yeah, no, I definitely loved that first episode myself. Obviously, all of us did. And I'm glad to see how we all kind of like what we latched onto from that first episode. Because, yeah, I was always surprised, too, kind of like what Cinematic was saying when there was those individuals who were like, they love the MCU. They love what Marvel does. They saw the first episode. They're like, I'm out. And it's like, dude, like you got to know that there's going to be more coming, you know? Like you got to know that something's going to like flip on its head. So Exactly. And the fourth episode is where everything gets crazy. But yeah, next episode 2, called Don't Touch That Dial. Again, black and white. We jump up a decade. And this time around, our characters, Wanda and Vision, are now having to prepare for a magic talent show act that they're going to be doing at the end of the episode. Another silly, fun episode with tons of little great moments of laughter. And almost the funny moments were just like these knee slappers. Like the jokes are terrible, but it's funny because of the way they're performing them, you know. I really thoroughly enjoyed that. We got Vision eating gum by accident and ends up turning into a bit of a weirdo in the final part of the episode. But this is also where we start to dip our toes into a little bit more. I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the episode. Yeah, this is the episode where she first finds the little red helicopter with the sword logo. Oh, I think we should also mention, I believe at the very finale of the first episode is where we see the person is watching them on the screen, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that's how we didn't talk about that, but that's how the first episode actually ended. And right there, that's where I first saw the sword logo, which for anyone who doesn't know what sword is, it's essentially like a space version of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they seem to be the ones that have been taking over what's happening since everything of the events of Endgame and all of that stuff, which definitely tied into the show in a really cool way. And yeah, so moving into the second episode, we knew that somebody was watching them on the outside. How that all played into things, who knew? But yeah, episode 2, Don't Touch That Dial. Another silly episode, but ends with that great cliffhanger where we get to see some guy in a bee costume come out of a manhole. And we see he's got the sword logo as well. And then Wanda ends up sending this is where we get to see for the first time that Wanda is in a little bit more control than we thought at first. Because earlier in the episode, there's that moment where we see she shows up to that tea party. There's the little radio, and we hear a voice. At the time, we don't know who it's going to be. And they're saying, like, who's doing this to you, Wanda? And that was another first kind of moment where things are getting very strange. Yes, and it's also the first time that we're introduced to what's her name? I'm blanking right now on the character's name.
Agatha.
Yeah, well, Agatha, yeah, for sure. I think Agatha was in the first episode, but
yeah, it's true.
Geraldine, the character of Geraldine, who we would end up finding later on, we would end up finding out that she is not Geraldine and is indeed Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel. So that was really cool. I actually got that spoiled for me by looking on IMDb at who was playing what characters, and I saw her name was Monica Rambeau.
Oh, man.
I was like, damn. So I saw that a couple episodes ahead of time. I think they had announced it, but I never saw the announcement. But yeah, that was the second episode, and then we end with the whole thing with the beekeeper, and she says no, essentially, and it seems like she kind of reverses time, and then has a nice little happy ending. So, the big Rob theory. What were your thoughts on that second episode? It says I'm assuming we all watched them one right after the other because they came out at the same time.
Yeah. So honestly, that episode was really the whole show was phenomenal. You know, I think we can all agree. I love that all of us pretty much have a similar mindset on this show, but still with different things that we love, as Anthony pointed out. The whole idea behind the tea party, I found that to be so amazing because Dottie, I think that's what her name was, Dottie. She kind of like realized, you know, she was like, wait, what do you like? I know what you're doing, you know. It kind of clicked for a minute, but then it was just like a split second, and Wanda didn't really understand what was happening either. And then you mentioned the whole thing about who would eventually be Jimmy Woo, that he, you know, was trying to contact her, you know. So that was just iconic to me because it's like we finally see that a lot more is going on than meets the eye, obviously. And to be honest with you, I really thought that it was someone on the outside, as in, you know, this other worldly thing happening, you know, because the whole multiverse and everything. I didn't know, you know, if it was really Wanda or if it was something else, you know, or something to do with Doctor Strange, you know. So I didn't know what exactly it was. All I know is that it was amazing, and the whole black and white thing, how everybody talked about that. I grew up watching black and white too, so that seeing those two episodes in black and white was really, really great for me too. And I loved how it ended with the beekeeper, you know, and eventually we see it's something different, but that we finally see it's Wanda, you know, and we just don't know if she's like under duress or if she's doing it for some other reason. So I loved that episode, and I know I'm rambling, sorry, but that was such a beautiful episode. And again, like everybody, we're all gonna say it multiple times, but this was just beautifully written, man. But I'll hand it off to somebody else.
Yeah, no, don't you don't have to apologize, man. But yeah, totally agree, man. It was a really good episode, and I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it. Willie, what did you think about the second episode?
Everything I loved in the first one. The second one I started to feel like I had a little bit of shelf life. Like I needed to hear I needed to see that there's a little more to this. Like where's it going? The helicopter thing was okay. The like what you mentioned, Big Rob Theory, the whole tea party thing was super fucking cool. And it got that kind of evil like layer thing going again with the Twilight Zone shit, where it's like you know some shit's going on. But the rest of it kind of got a little light, and I liked it. I did. But I like how it got the lighter black and white versus the grainier black and white. So it went from 50s to 60s because it was more of a cleaner black and white.
Yeah.
But still, I started to feel like it had a little bit of like okay, I need to see more than that helicopter. Like there's got to be more to this. But that whole Wanda, what's going on thing, the tea party thing, that to me was the highlight. But like Cinematic Tendency did say, I didn't notice Wanda's bra, but I can never unsee that now that you mentioned it. So whenever I see it now, I will think of you, dude. But yeah, no, her holding the rabbit and doing her thing, and that was cool, dude. I love Wanda too. That's great.
That's the production design.
I like your unboxing videos. Let's unbox her, whatever you want, dude.
So I'm dead. Love it. So what about you, Tajaya? What did you think about this episode?
Again, episode 2 took me back to a simpler time in my life when I was a child. And I did notice the difference in tones of the black and white. And the elephant in the room we're not talking about, man, Wanda is gorgeous in these outfits from the 1950s. I mean, she could have been in that era of TV and movies. She seamlessly played those roles to a T. The Tea Party thing, good versus evil, Snooty versus the new kid on the block. I love the dynamic of going back and forth. When my man chewed that gum and it got stuck in his stuff, and he was like acting like a drunk dude, physical comedy was big in those days. And my man, he did the damn thing, acting like a drunk dude who was out of sorts.
Yeah.
Then you get to the talent show and the quirky things they were doing, but it made it work. Dude, it was brilliant. And then the radio broadcast, again, now we're getting into something deeper. There's an underlying evil or weirdness that's going on through the show, and you don't know when it's going to pop up. But when it pops up, I was never prepared for it. I'm like, oh shit, the radio. Oh man, Uncle's looking at her funny, and she cut her hand and she looked down at it and she was tripping. Blew my mind because again, old school, quirky, then it gets serious with a really creepy tone, and the writing is brilliant, dude. They have the old 60s aesthetic,
Yep.
the costumes, the way they act, the background comedy. But when it flows into the unknown and the spooky, dude, I threw my hands up. I'm like, these guys got it together. I love it. Another cliffhanger. My man popped up, the beekeeper. I'm like, man, what the hell is this? I'm like, come on, next week. You got to hurry up. I got to know what's going on, man. They gave me something to talk about at work amongst my buddies. Brilliant.
For sure, man. What about you, Cinematic? What did you think of the second episode? Were you also just in this episode fixated on her bra?
That was more in the 50s, I think.
Oh no, you're feeling it in the 60s too.
No, it was good. Like all the attention to detail, like not only like on their outfits, but also like if you have watched those shows, like the original shows from back in the day, you're gonna notice like the same in WandaVision. They were acting the same way, like they were pronouncing and talking with the same what's the word, like enunciation, like in the shows, like
Yeah.
I don't know, like the way they would move and all these little things, like I thought, like for a minute I could be watching WandaVision and thinking like, oh, this is actually from the 1950s or from the 1960s. Like at moments, I would, it was so believable to me, like it was actually from a show from back in the day. And something that I was looking forward for in every episode, it was the TV commercials.
Yeah.
Those 10 seconds, 15 seconds long. I mean, just tons of Easter eggs and tons of fan theories and tons of Mephisto stuff. But yeah, those commercials, those were like very. I think. Well, sometimes I think there was a little bit of fan service, but at the same time, they were also alluding what was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, no, I think they did a good job. That's something that maybe it might get a little bit. I know for me, I struggle to remember which commercial was which in which episode, but I guess we should just talk about that briefly before we move on.
It was the watch.
Yeah.
Episode 2 was the watch.
Okay, so it was the watch, yeah. And was that the one that said Hydra?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that the commercials did a good job. The first one, I believe, had to do with Stark. The second one had to do with Hydra, and they dealt with different things in the various ones that kind of touched on various things that she's gone through as a character, or things that were big parts of her life that maybe for better or for worse. I know one of them, I can't remember the exact name, but it's the name of the city in Africa that they had the whole thing happen during at the beginning of Civil War.
The Pepper Tower, Lagos, yeah.
Lagos, yeah, exactly. So like that was one of them, and so I like the way that they were able to tie those together in a way that if you're a longtime fan, you can pick up on those things while you're watching it. But they did a good job of really lacing those in there well and just really expanding on her character. But yeah, real quick before we get too far, I do see we had this question for somebody who said they couldn't watch live. It says, can't watch live, so I'll ask a question for you guys. Do you think WandaVision could have benefited by having a Friends parody for the first episode? I think the 50s style right off the bat turned off some viewers. So I'll just leave this one open to anybody who wants to respond. I personally like the way they chose to go about it, though I was surprised they didn't have an episode that was kind of like a Friends kind of thing. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I do.
Yeah, go for it.
I love the whole Friends thing. I'm surprised they went Malcolm in the Middle instead of Friends. I don't want to jump too ahead, but I'm surprised they went Malcolm in the Middle instead of Friends in that. I think it's the 4th episode. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you can't jump to Friends right away because you're now going 2000s or 90s, and there's not now you have 4 episodes to jump generation to generation. You need a little bit of jump there, so you had to start with the 50s. Yep. 60s, 70s, but once you get to that area, yeah, I'm surprised they went Malcolm in the Middle instead of Friends for sure.
For sure. I definitely thought the same thing. Like Malcolm in the Middle, like I thought it was cool, but I was like, yeah, I definitely expected Friends, or even what's it called? Like something like Everybody Loves Raymond, or what's it called? Seinfeld. Seinfeld's 90s, right?
George Lopez.
Yeah. What you say?
Yeah.
What'd you say, Rob?
No, I said George Lopez, but.
Yeah, like anything like that. I was surprised they went Malcolm in the Middle versus one of those others. Anybody else have thoughts on that? Do you like the way it started, or do you wish they would have started with something like Friends? Yeah, go for it, Rob.
No, I liked how that started perfectly. You know, as Willie said, perfectly. You have to have a jump. You can't just go straight up out the gate, the 90s or 2000s, because then, I guess you could, but it wouldn't really have the same effect as it did for people like us and a lot of other people who genuinely value old school cinema and TV. You have to have some sort of a buildup. You have to have a foundation for this show in order to grip people the way you truly want to have them gripped. Does that make sense? Like, you really have to have a good, solid foundation of eras to build up from and towards in order for it to be great storytelling. So, I mean, I would have loved to see them do Friends. Everybody's pretty much said it. It would have been great to do Friends instead of Malcolm in the Middle. I don't know about you guys. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't a big fan of it. But I would have liked to see them do Friends, or even Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld more than a lot of other people do. But I love the way that they started it. It was great.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. I see we got a comment here that said they couldn't do Friends because they needed to incorporate the children, which is definitely probably a factor. I mean, they probably thought,
that's a good point.
Thank you, Dolphin Chick Nails. I appreciate our Dolphin. I'm going to assume Dolphin Chick Nails. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I was going to say it's because you needed more cast to do the whole Friends dynamic, because you needed more people in there. But I think Dolphin Chick Nails is right. It's the kids. You couldn't incorporate it. I think Dolphin Chick Nails nailed it. And the commenter before, I think, is legit true, having a gripe that you couldn't incorporate Friends, but Dolphin Chick Nails nailed it with the whole, you can't do Friends with kids there.
No, unless they would have started it before the kids came into the play, and then it would have been something like along the lines of like. But even then, it's like there hadn't been enough characters set up in order to really go that direction. All right, so episode 3, we're jumping out of the black and white. Sorry, cinematic, no more pointy boobs. And we're jumping into the 70s with Now in Color. This is the episode where Wanda does indeed become pregnant. And ends up having the babies at the very end of the episode. This is also the first time in the show where I thought, hell yeah, this is starting to get really interesting. When something weird happens near the end of the episode, where sure, we've had the silly episode. There's like the stork that's like walking around the house, and Wanda's trying to kind of keep it out of the line of sight of Geraldine who's dropped by. But there is that strange moment where even Vision is kind of weary about what's happened. As far as like how she's gotten pregnant so quickly, he seems like something strange. He goes outside and he sees the next door neighbor. I can't remember the character's name right now, but it was the black gentleman that was right across the street, trimming his hedges, and then he's like trimming into the cement block like fence there, and then right after that, we do end up seeing that Geraldine ends up stopping by. First, before that, also we do see, or right after that, we see that Catherine Hahn's character, who it was phenomenal in this season. But yes, Agnes, we see her talking to this gentleman outside, and there's kind of like a weird exchange, like they're kind of keeping a secret of some sort, like they are in on something. And so at first you really don't know what's going on at this point. Then you have the weird cutting into like the cement, and then you have Geraldine stopping by to help deliver these babies. And the conversation out of nowhere of Pietro and Ultron comes up about her Wanda's brother who's passed away. Geraldine knows his name and knows that he was killed by Ultron. We see that Wanda has a bit of a reaction to that, and the next scene, Geraldine is gone. We don't know really what's happened. And I believe this is the same episode where we get that quick shot of Vision at the end, where we see him look like what he looked like at the end of Infinity War, where he was all dead with his head all.
Oh yeah.
With a really just like a nice, like shocking moment. I saw some people saying they were terrified from it. I don't know about all that, but like I thought it was a good shocking moment. I thought they handled it really well. So yeah, this time around, let's start with you, Gerard. Cinematical. What were your thoughts on the third episode and some of the stuff that happens there?
The third one, I also liked it. Not my favorite episode, the third one, but still, I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole season, of course, but that one is not my favorite. As I liked it, but not as much as the other ones. That scene with Vision, or what I call zombie Vision, that was. I mean, it wasn't scary to me, but it was scary for my kids who were watching it next to me, because we had the lights off. all of a sudden, you see zombie Vision showing. But what else happens? Oh yeah, I still have questions about that show, about the stork. I don't know if there was a purpose for it, or it was just Wanda losing control of her magic because she was having pregnancy pains, or I still don't know. So and going back from episode 2, I don't know what happened to the beekeeper. I don't think they said anything what happened to him. Right.
I don't think we learned what happened to him really, but we do see him in the later episodes as we get further into this. Obviously, we've all talked about it. Spoilers. We end up getting the before that we get to see how Monica Rambeau got into the hex, as they called it, and we see that she what's it called? We see that I lost my train of thought. We go back in the past, and then we see that the guy goes underground. He's like walking through and then he walks into the hex, and he goes from being in like this hazmat suit into the bee suit, walks through the thing, and then we know she sent them back, but I don't think they ever show. If anybody remembers, I don't think they ever show like what happened to that dude. Maybe he's still in the hex.
He didn't make the sequel. No.
Yeah, he definitely didn't make the sequel. Willie, what did you think about the third episode, Now in Color?
Bro, they straight up jacked the Brady Bunch with that stage. Oh my god, the whole they jacked it completely. I'm sorry that Wanda did not have her bra. But you know what? Going back to and I'm not trying to go back, but something that Blacktastic said. My whole gripe about is, does this have a shelf life with episode 2, is because I wanted more, and that goes back to the cliffhanger. And episode 3 kind of gave a little more, and you just wanted more and more. And it's like, where's this going? Like this is a show where like they really. I wish not the Mandalorian. I wish Cobra Kai did this, where it was one a week instead of doing the whole thing in one shot on Netflix, because it's nice having that week to think about it. And episode 3, the Brady Bunch thing, it felt like it was kind of it felt a little fluff. And it's like I think it's because I just wanted more and wanted more. And that's like good job show. Like they did a good job for that, because you want more. it's fun to see the pregnancy. It's fun to see they're basically really how they interact as a couple. And it's the color was nice. I will say they dropped the ball because they didn't put grain. We saw the Brady Bunch in 4K, and that was weird. I with all the attention to detail that they did in the first 2 episodes, the fact that we saw 70s color with no grain was a little bit weird. But other than that, it was good. It was good, but I wanted more, which not going forward, but episode 4 gives us.
Yeah. I definitely feel you, man. It's I felt like that was kind of my thing with the first 3 episodes, was always wanting more, liking what I saw with moments that were great. But it really, I remember, we're gonna get into it a little bit, and I still want to hear obviously from Jaya and from Rob. But I'm going into the 4th episode that morning. You know what? I'll save that story for when we get to the 4th episode. Rob, what were your thoughts on the 3rd episode, and what did you think? I also want to mention something that I forgot to mention, was that the big cliffhanger at the end of this episode was Monica Rambeau saying it's Wanda. You know, she's the one doing this.
Yeah, it's all Wanda. Yeah.
God bless.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Rob. You can go ahead and share your thoughts on episode 3.
Yeah, so I mean, episode 3 came, and yeah, you said it perfectly. Where the whole Brady Bunch vibe, and I really liked the episode because that whole part for me was the whole Geraldine being, well, not just Geraldine, but does anybody else hear that?
We're good now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
So-
I muted Blacktastic's mic. It
Yeah,
sounds like somebody was talking
I
about.
was gonna say, is that just me? Okay. I was like, is it just me hearing that? Like, am I crazy? Oh my god! All right, we're good. Woo! All right, we're good. So man, wow. So the whole herb like cutting into the cement. I promise. The first time I saw that, I was like, what's wrong with this dude? Like, why is he doing this? But it's because obviously Wanda was controlling everybody, and I don't know if something like snapped in his head real quick, and he was like really like, wait, what's going on? Or he's just I don't know. But that was pretty cool to me, and the fact that Agnes or Agatha was talking to her about Geraldine and everything. At first I thought that Geraldine was like possibly a bad person in there, but I loved, well, I'm not gonna, obviously everybody knows about it already, but I'll save that for later. But I loved when Geraldine brought up Pietro and Ultron. It's like we finally get like a movie reference. Like, well, we got movie references already, but you know what I mean, like a legit movie reference about what personally happened to her. And that's instantly when I was like, oh my god, this is lit. Like, this is really, it was lit before, but it's crazy now because Wanda instantly went into defense mode and was like,
Yeah.
you just you said the wrong thing right there. So I think that was a good not tipping point, but like a good cusp moment for us to like get even further into what's really happening in Westview or Eastview, the Hex.
Yeah, no, for sure. What about you, Sajai? What did you think about that 3rd episode?
One thing I like about these episodes, the little intro song to each episode, it reminds me of that time and era. And 70s sitcom was a trip. Bad clothes, bad hair, long ponytails, afros was big back then. So my brother was trimming the hedges, had that Jerry curl afro type joint. I was like, yeah. I wore that shirt and I had that hair. And I'm getting more and more into the characters besides Wanda and Vision. I'm loving the neighbors. I'm like, I thought they were together. I'm like, oh, is that an interracial couple? I didn't realize they were just neighbors and just talking. I know what was going on.
That ain't gonna happen
The
back
creepy
then.
things with him cutting through the hedges, the wall, that was weird. Her being pregnant, and by the end of that episode, it kept escalating, and Vision's running over to the doctor, bringing the doctor back, and It was weird and quirky, kind of remind me of an episode of the Brady Bunch. But at the end, when the babies were born, Rambo was asking questions that was pertinent to the Age of Ultron, because we can admit that's probably the weakest Avengers movie, but now it's become one of the most exciting ones because of this show. This show breathed life into Age of Ultron. I'm like, I need to. It was weird. After every episode was over, that would pop up on Disney Plus. It was a trip. It was like mind blowing. But this episode was cool. It wasn't great. I wanted more. And what I wanted, that's the sign of a great director. They pull you in, dude, and they make very, very patient with this show. And by the time as you get to episode 4, the floodgates open up. But a good director and producer pulls you in and keep you guessing and wanting. And like good TV shows back in the day, you had to wait a week to see the next episode. Unlike Netflix, you get it all, and we're kind of used to that menu. But this made you wait like the good old days of every episode, what's going to happen. So you had water cooler talk at work, talk about it online, on YouTube. And that's what makes this show great. I absolutely loved it. The cliffhanger wasn't as strong as the other ones, but when she looked up and Vision was dead, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Man, I forgot how fucked up he was. And he goes, what is it, Wanda? What are you looking at me like that? She's like, oh. I'm like, damn, there's kinks and cracks in her armor. And she's trying to control this whole little small universe. And that's when I really started seeing like, oh man, this is about to get really wicked. I loved it.
For sure, man. No, I loved hearing all your thoughts on this episode. It sounds like we all loved this episode, but we all wanted more. And I think we all absolutely got what we wanted with episode 4. So let's go ahead and move right into that one. This episode was titled, We Interrupt This Program, where we jump to the past. We start to get all kinds of like recontextualization of things leading into what we've already seen. This is the episode where they introduce Jimmy Woo into the show, as well as what's her name?
Darcy.
I'm waiting for now. Darcy, yeah, bringing back Darcy Lewis. We learned that Monica Rambeau is indeed Monica Rambeau, not Geraldine, which I know a lot of people are quite in love with. Teyona Paris, I believe is her name. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. As Monica Rambeau. But yes, so we got these older characters reintroduced. We got like small little like hints and nods, like Jimmy Woo doing like the card magic, like really quickly, like when he pulls out his, kind of a callback to Ant-Man and the Wasp. But the big thing I remember, I was going to tell you the story earlier. I always watch these episodes with my fiance, and sometimes she'll want to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch them with me, and sometimes she's just too tired. Most times she does, sometimes she doesn't. And most times it's like, cool, that was a great episode. Can't wait to watch it with her again whenever she wakes up and we can watch it. That moment, I didn't do it, but I was literally, I stood up as soon as the episode started, and we start to see Monica Rambeau coming to. The fact that they opened the episode with the return of the blip and letting us start to see, both with this show and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, what life is like for random everyday people moving into this episode. There's just so much giving us all that recontextualization, connecting us to things, letting us see shots that we saw like at the end of the first episode, where we now see that Darcy was the one who was watching them on the screen. So much going on. So, Tajaya, let's start with you this time. What were your thoughts on this episode and how things were starting to get recontextualized?
The opening scene, when she's coming back together, that was cinematic. For the first time, this TV show looked cinematic. The way the camera was moving, all the chaos in the hospital, the quick cuts. I'm like, man, this has stepped it up a notch. And I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, well, what the hell? And I realized, oh, the blip. I'm like, man, they couldn't play that any better. And she had so many questions with no answers. And then that opening shot went on for so long. It just almost took up like half the episode for a while there. And I'm like, man, now we're getting to the nitty gritty. And now Monica Rambeau, I'm falling in love with her because we realized who her mother was. We didn't know. And she thought her mother was still alive, and the way the doctor's face looked, no, why are you still waiting in that room? This was probably the best episode directed, in my opinion, because this right here open up the portal at the same time gave you a whole nother dimension of questions and answers that were coming at the director's will. He would, like I said, it was pulling us in. And when I realized what was going on, I'm like, oh my, I never thought about the blip until this episode. Totally forgot about it. And then I'm in love with Monica Rambeau by this part. I mean, she's obviously gorgeous. And to know who her mom was, and it made me think about Captain Marvel for all movies. I'm like, I didn't even think about that movie at all. And it brought every week MCU movie, made it relevant. Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, they all had something to say from their cinematic adventure in this one episode. It made the most irrelevant movies relevant. That's what I love so much about this episode, guys. Loved it.
For sure. No, I love the way you said that. I think when I look back at the season overall, this is definitely one of my favorite episodes. The reveals, the recontextualization, and just being able to see these characters that, you know, Jimmy Woo, who thought they would be getting him back, but now everybody loves him. And I think that this show did a good job of amplifying these characters that were cool in their movies. You know, the Thor movies are not the most beloved across fans overall.
Yeah,
I like them.
I mean,
But
Ragnarok.
yeah, well, yeah, but besides, I guess Ragnarok is being the top one. But with the first two kind of being like, I like all the Thor movies. Like personally, I like them all to different degrees. But the third one obviously being the absolute best one. But Darcy was a character that was kind of just a throwaway character in those movies. Last thing you thought was she was going to reappear. But this is the kind of stuff that excites me because, you know, we've seen other random characters from previous things kind of start to appear. Something like Civil War and Endgame, where we saw, like, you know, Colonel Ross from The Incredible Hulk reappear. Like, I like the idea that we can start to see these various characters start to appear here and there. We know that Tim Roth, who played Abomination in The Incredible Hulk, will be in the She-Hulk Disney Plus series. So I think it's cool to be able to pull these characters that maybe haven't been on screen or had the main brunt of screen time, be able to bring them into this ensemble cast. I think that they did a really, really good job. Really, really thoroughly enjoyed this episode as you did, Tajaya. So what about you, Gerard? What did you think about this episode?
Episode 4. Before we continue, I just want to show you guys that the one, the only, and the iconic Marilyn Monroe, she wore those pointy bras. Okay,
you're still on the bras? Oh my god!
Just making sure.
Oh my god!
That was for you.
This is why I drink.
Episode 4 was a turning point. I think it was a turning point because it was just answering questions from the first 3 episodes. So that's why I was recommending my coworker. I'm like, you know, like he didn't want to continue watching the show after episode 2. I'm like, stick around, watch episode 4, and then after that, if you want to tap out again, it's fine. If not, I think you're gonna get hooked by then. But so yeah, it was a turning point. It provides more answers, but also it raises more questions too for the episodes that are coming up. But yeah, I mean, it was funny. It made me laugh as soon as I know, like, some people got that joke because it was very brief with the card with Jimmy Woo doing the trick and introducing himself with the business card. I was laughing with that little joke. And what's another part that I also liked about that episode? Oh yeah, well, I liked it. And first episode that we had no TV commercial. There was no commercial in that episode, and I think it was because everything in that episode happens outside of the hex. So unfortunately, no TV commercial for me. But
no bra and no TV commercial. I'm surprised you even liked the episode. What about you, Rob? What did you think about this episode?
So going back to what Blacktastic said earlier about the blip, you know, like that was super iconic to put in this episode. And I love, okay, so for me personally, Anthony, I know you and I have talked about this. DC and Marvel, like we both like it, and I like more DC, but Marvel is really good too, and Marvel kills it with movies and sometimes with the TV shows. Man, this on Disney Plus, they've really just showcased what they can do and what also they plan to do. DC, they kill it with the TV shows and kind of bomb on the movies, except for more recently or various installments. But this episode really, as he said, was just like cinema quality, like the way how they came back from the blip and how it made you so anxious. Maybe not anxious, but like the camera shots, the angles, everything, and the speed of it. It was really, really like a movie, and I felt like I was watching like a deleted scene or something of Infinity War, or like some alternate thing of Infinity War or Endgame, sorry. And it really obviously raised a little bit more questions, but I loved that it was more outside of the hex, because I was thinking about that too. Obviously the first 3 episodes are kind of the base, but I was thinking about also what's going on outside of the hex too. And to be honest with you, I actually really like Jimmy Woo. Like I like him. He's a cheese ball that you kind of need in the movies to just kind of be that lighthearted person on the opposite end. But obviously you can see he's trying to help. But I don't know. I like Jimmy Woo, and this episode was really good. And again, it raised a little bit more questions for me, but it also made me just want to keep watching. Seeing Monica Rambeau and incorporating Captain Marvel of all things, like I liked the movie overall, because I like Captain Marvel from the comics. I like that she's pretty much an OP character, and I love the cosmic abilities. But again, I liked that they incorporated Monica Rambeau so well, and it made me really excited for the next episode.
For sure, man. No, so without a doubt, it seems like we all genuinely loved this episode. This was the turning point for everybody. Answers were being given to us, and like Cinematic said, new questions being asked. It's just kind of the nature of this show, and it was just like what it was every week. And I kind of go back to what Willie said earlier. I gotta agree with the whole thing that it's like, yeah, I love the way that they're releasing these episodes. Blacktastic mentioned it earlier. It's that weekly release that keeps it exciting, fun, different. You get to be a part of the discussion every week. Anytime that I would say something in a video, I was able to kind of see things online. A perfect example for me recently is with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Are you guys caught up on that?
Yep.
I have not watched one episode because I want to absorb this and not go back to traditional Marvel.
Gotcha. I know what you mean.
And I'm embracing Snyderverse right now. I'm just like bathing in it.
Yeah.
Well, I won't say what I was going to say, but what I will say is I had one of those things that I love about these shows, the Mandalorian, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the various other Disney shows that they're doing, is that weekly discussion. Being able to maybe spend time in the week and maybe rewatch the episode rather than feel like I binged the whole thing, and maybe you feel like you don't have enough time to do that again. You know what I mean? So you get to kind of soak up the episode, maybe see it a second time, really think about it, discuss things with people. Maybe people picked up on things you didn't see, so that now you're going into the next episode with a little more context versus, binging it all yourself. And then they're like, hey, did you see this on this episode and this and that all connected? You're like, oh, no, I didn't even think to look for that. You know what I mean? And so that's something I really enjoy about the weekly release. But yeah, let's jump right into the next episode, which had one of my favorite moments of performance from Paul Bettany in the entire series. The episode is called On a Very Special Episode. This is episode 5. This is the one where Vision is, I think we're in the 80s now, and Vision is starting to, he's starting to notice that there's some weird little moments of things that Wanda is saying or doing. This is the episode where at his job, he ends up zapping that guy's head for the first time, and he starts freaking out on him, and he's just like, whoa, what's going on? And then he zaps him back in, and at the end of the episode, probably the big standout moment for me as far as anything in the entire show is a performance that Paul Bettany's Vision gives, kind of just blowing up on her. There's that great scene where the two of them fly up in the living room and are kind of having this argument. And I love the performance Paul Bettany gave there. His just confusion and kind of not remembering who he is, not remembering what's happening. This is also the episode where they were trying to get in. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Frick. Fuck. All right, I didn't want to
Woo,
speak with the
that was a
mic
good
on.
one.
Thank you. Yeah, I tried to keep the mic unmuted, but anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so there's that great moment as well where Wanda actually comes out of the hex and essentially tells them what's what and not to try to come into the hex. And there's tons of little great stuff that are happening. We're learning a lot more, but let's just go ahead and get into the thoughts. Rob, what did you think of this episode right out of the gate?
So I loved Monica. Wow, I loved Wanda's brashness and like just full blown aggression coming out of that hex with the drone and just like, what up? You know, like I love that she didn't care that like they knew what she was doing. She's just like, yo, just don't mess with me, and I won't mess with you. You know, this is like her way of coping, and I loved how, yeah, Vision's like starting to piece things together. You know, like that. I was wondering when that was gonna happen, like when he was really gonna be like, okay, something's really not right here. Like I don't feel right. People are acting funny. What's happening? You know, and I really like that moment with him and Norm. That was really, I don't know, that like hit me, not hit me like made me like, but it just made me like, oh wow, you know, very very, it absorbed into the show because it really just showcased, man, Wanda thinks that she's just like covering her grief, but she's terrorizing these people, like she really is, you know, for lack of better statements, she really is, and she's not even meaning to, you know. So it just, for me personally, it made me really remember um her grief, like what she went through, you know. And it made me love the show even more when I was watching that, and when Vision was piecing things together, and then seeing her come out so angrily, you know, it just made me really want to go back and rewatch a lot of the movie, which I did. You know, I rewatched Age of Ultron, and I rewatched Civil War, and of course Infinity War. And seeing Infinity War again after WandaVision came out, and you know, not even like when all the episodes were out, it made WandaVision that much more important to me personally in the MCU. Does that make sense? Like it made WandaVision so that everything that happened so much more important. And that episode was like the last episode was a tipping point, but this also was like, I think Vision's like turning point, you know, Vision's turning point of being like, okay, this isn't right. Obviously Wanda's doing something, you know. So I loved the entire time. I didn't question anything really, as in I didn't question their direction negatively. I just questioned it as in like, what's next? You know, like what does Vision stumble upon next? What happens to Wanda next? Like what comes in there next, you know?
For sure, and I guess I should add in there really quickly before you wrap up your thoughts, because the biggest moment that gapped me as far as what made this episode stand out, besides Vision, is we hear a ring on the doorbell. They go to the door. We see some white hair. Everybody, I'm assuming everybody thought Aaron Taylor Johnson back as Quicksilver. Nope, it's freaking Evan Peters back as Peter, as they called him, not Pietro, but Peter from the X-Men movies. And I sat there thinking, oh my God, they're doing the multiverse, and this is the first character that they're doing it with. And I thought to myself, what a perfect way to do this. Now we would obviously, you know, there's a boner joke later on. I'll just say that for now. But what I'll say about that was that it was crazy. So, Rob, before you wrap up your thoughts, what were your thoughts on that moment? Like, what were you thinking?
That's crazy that you said that, because I was thinking, I was like, I'm forgetting something. And obviously, Anthony, you know, I love speedsters, so I'm a huge Flash fan. I got it tattooed on me. So I love Quicksilver, and I like his Quicksilver so much because he's just, you know, goofy, and he just doesn't really care, you know, and he's really good at what he does. So seeing him pop up was like, oh my, this show just went way above par with this. Bringing in his cameo and his Quicksilver, like you said, Anthony, was it like them establishing that multiverse content. So that's what also made me think as well of Doctor Strange. And obviously we'll get into that when we talk more later on. But yeah, man, I love his Evan Peters is phenomenal as Quicksilver, and oh my God, those are my thoughts.
All right, let's hear it, Tajaya. What you think of episode 5?
Episode 5, man. This was the episode that acting stood out to me the most. Paul Bettany, my girl, they brought the acting chops to this episode. When she came out of the bubble into the real world, the look on her face, I'm like, man, I forgot how powerful she was. And the look on her face and her accent came back. I'm like, that's Scarlet Witch. But two great actors going head to head the whole episode. And the fact that Vision was starting to find doubt, and you started seeing the kinks and the cracks in the relationship of a husband and a wife for the first time,
Yeah.
to the point where it bled over into an argument, and they started using their powers against each other. It was intense. I'm like, oh man, this is about to get really wicked. And then the episode when it closed out with Quicksilver. I mean, I love Marvel, but man, Fox at the time, their Quicksilver, that was my dude, man. And his face, he's quirky, kind of weird. That crooked smile he got. I'm like, damn, this is why Disney bought Fox, huh? To do some shit like this. It was a trip. It was a trip. And again, Disney Plus and their team each week is blowing my mind. But this episode was all about acting, not a whole lot of quirkiness going on. It started to get really, really serious from this point on, and I absolutely love this episode.
Absolutely. What did you think, Cinematic? What were your thoughts on this? I know at this point we're moving so far away from bras, but like, what were your thoughts?
Yeah.
Don't try.
Not any bra, but pointy brass. That's the key. Episode, yeah, that episode. That episode has like the biggest cliffhanger for me, because like you reminded me how it ended with when they're showing Quicksilver, or the back of Quicksilver, and at the very end, they show his back very first, and just for a few seconds, like 2 seconds, the first thing I saw was the gray hair, and for 2 seconds I thought, oh, that's old Captain America. I was thinking that because I was thinking that at some point, old Captain America, was gonna go and try to talk to Wanda, because he's one of the only friends that she has, because they got really close during Age of Ultron. No, Infinity War. And anyway, but then when they show like actually Evan Peters, I was like, oh, there it is. That's the multiverse right here. I was assuming I was probably one of the many people. I just assumed that was, the multiverse confirmed, or like the first time that I'm like, okay, this is the episode. Everybody in 5 years from now, everybody's gonna remember WandaVision episode 5. That's when the multiverse, the first moment of the multiverse, and it wasn't. Was it a mistake? I think it was, but obviously Kevin Feige knows best. So I was a little. I was excited for that episode. I mean, that cliffhanger for that week. I was like, I can't wait for Friday, because I want to see what's going on with Quicksilver, and what else happens in that episode. That's the first. We get another commercial on that episode. We get a commercial we spoke about it a little bit early, about the paper towel, the Lagos. So that episode, in that episode, it was more about a little bit more about Wanda, or at least the commercial. It was about her past, just in case if people didn't know what she did before in Captain America Civil War.
Yeah,
with that explosion, but I really liked it. But yeah, the highlight for that episode for me was the cliffhanger.
For sure. I think it was for most people. And like you said, it was like that. It was that element of kind of like, oh my God, I think everybody thought it was going to be multiverse, because one thing we haven't mentioned, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it more near the finale of this, but Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness, they announced a long time ago that Wanda's going to be a big character in that movie, and that this show was going to be like a tee up for her character into that movie, and very much was. But the movie's called Into the Multiverse of Madness. There's been all the rumors of the new Spider-Man movie having all these like multiverse crossovers. So it's like, okay, like we thought for sure this is going to be the case, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but I can't deny it was pretty disappointing to have it all end with a boner joke. I can't lie. But Willie, what were your thoughts on this episode, man?
I thought. Hi. Sorry, my daughter's saying hi. Go to bed. Good night, dude. You unplugged my shit. Like, plug it back in. Get over here. What the hell? Plug it in, or I'm gonna put you back in the stairs and hose you down. Go. Episode 5. We had the first appearance of Sparky. There would not be a second appearance, unfortunately, thanks to Agnes.
Yeah.
I liked the whole, I'm thinking Full House kind of vibe. And I just wanted more. It got to the point where I just wanted more. And I think this is the episode that started to kind of, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but it started to kind of give birth to the whole theories thing, where everyone is giving different theories here and there. Mephisto, this, that. I'm guilty of that. I had fucking videos up and down about, like, I was predicting Sparky, Mephisto. It was a gambling, bro, and it was so bad. But this is the episode that kind of started it. I did catch Agnes break character, and I'm like, okay, she's in on it. Like, I caught that right away, and I think it's great that she broke character. That's awesome. And obviously, I knew that when Wanda broke through that wall and was in control, she wasn't, because there's no way Wanda's going to be the bad guy. I mean, there's someone else in power, and this is the episode that I actually thought it was Agnes. Well, I'm like, okay, it's Agnes. It's definitely Agnes, because she broke character, and like you said, Petro comes back. And like, one thing the X-Men got right was Petro. It was not what's the name from Kick-Ass. I like Petro. But there's also the part where when I saw him come up, I thought to myself, is this why they really casted him? Because everyone talks about him in X-Men, but I love horror, and he is a staple of American Horror Story. And seeing him there, I'm like, okay, this guy could be Mephisto. So right when I saw him, I didn't think Quicksilver, I thought Mephisto. And yeah, I went down that rabbit hole, and you know how that turned out.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So many people really thought it was Mephisto, and I can't lie. Like, eventually I started leaning into it possibly being Mephisto. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of, it definitely did not go in the direction I think anybody was expecting. I think even people who thought it was Mephisto, people who thought it was multiverse, nobody thought it was going to end in a boner joke that at the end of the day kind of didn't go anywhere. But listen, I'm looking at the time really quickly. I know that some of you had mentioned to me that you can't stay up too late, and we were talking about that, and I can't too. So I definitely don't want anybody to leave too early before we get to talk about at least general thoughts on the finale of everything. So I'm going to try to speed through these last things, and then we'll kind of just give general thoughts on these last few episodes, if that's okay with you guys, all at once. Just because I don't want to get too late. So the next episode was all new Halloween Spooktacular. This one takes the whole thing a little bit further. We get to some pretty. It's like a nice, fun episode. We get to see these characters in their classic outfits in a nice, fun, and silly way. This is also the episode where Vision lies that he's part of like the neighborhood watch, where he's actually trying to learn some information. This is where he finds Agnes out on the outskirts, and we learn that the further away these people are from Wanda, it's similar to kind of like a internet Wi-Fi connection kind of thing, where they're kind of like are stuck. You know, we see the one lady trying to put up Halloween decorations, and she just has a tear coming down, and she's like sitting there smiling, but you can tell she's broken. These characters are being controlled. There's even a moment in the episode where Quicksilver brings up to her like, you know, like, so what are you doing with the kids? You know what I mean? Like, you just have them like in the rooms, so he knows that she's doing something. She kind of looks at him strange. There's even that moment where she looks at him and he has the bullet holes in his chest and his eyes are all whited out. So it's kind of like, you know, playing off of what happened in Age of Ultron. And we get to see that great scene where Vision touches Agnes's head and she kind of breaks character for a second, but we find out later on that was all acting that she was putting on for Vision. Any general thoughts right out of the gate on this first episode? On this episode, any quick thoughts before we move on to the next episode? Anybody?
Just one quick thought. This was the first time we seen kids throughout the whole neighborhood. For some reason, I thought maybe this is not real because there's never any kids. Only Wanda's 2 kids. So when I seen the kids and the interaction, it was cool. It was different. I really liked that part of it.
For sure. Anybody else got any thoughts on this one?
Big Rob does.
Go for it, bro.
I don't remember if this is the episode. I don't want to get too ahead, but like I don't know if this is the episode where we see that the kids finally got their powers. Is this that episode, or is that the next one?
This was the episode that, because they were actually, the kids were dressed up as their comic book characters. So like, you know, we have the one kid that's Wiccan and the other kid that's Speed, who was just pretty much dressed up as a small Quicksilver, but then Wiccan was dressed up as Wiccan from the comic books.
Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. Okay, because just a quick thought, like I love Wiccan. I absolutely love Wiccan and the idea of Wiccan and everything. So seeing that in this episode and then seeing them in their classic costumes, it was real, like, it was kind of nostalgic for me, you know. So, and again, great on the Disney team, and I loved the fact that Agnes, man, wow, I can't wait for us to get to that. But yeah, I loved the incorporating the kids. I was wondering if they were going to do that too. Like I don't know if, you know, I didn't know if that was going to be a thing, but obviously with this it is. But yeah, that was like the main part for me.
For sure. Definitely a really cool episode. And I'm going to just try to actually shoot through these last couple episodes, synopsis and everything like that. And then we can all give just general thoughts on just all of these things, anything that comes to your mind. So yeah, that was a great episode. Next episode is called Breaking the Fourth Wall, which was the like Modern Family Office episode, which was fun. I thought that was really, really cool. We see, I should also mention, in the last episode with the Hex was expanded. That's the one where Vision also tried, at the end of that Halloween one, Vision tries to get out, and he ain't having it, or Wanda ain't having it, so she expands the Hex, getting a lot of these characters like Darcy now inside of the Hex. And I was like, the whole thing that was the base for S.W.O.R.D. is now this circus. And most of the episode, as far as Vision, is him kind of walking around with or riding in a car with Darcy, being filled in on all the information about him having died in Infinity War and all that jazz. But then there's also great stuff that's happening with Agatha. I believe this is the episode, if I'm not mistaken, at the end that we do learn it was Agatha all along, with that very catchy song that everybody was going crazy about. And then we also learned that so we learned that it was Agatha all along, and this is where we first see Monica come into the Hex and gain her powers as Captain Marvel, which she does become in the comic books, as well as another name she goes by, which is, I believe, is Photon or Proton. I can't remember, but we do get to see her begin to get those powers. So yeah, really thoroughly enjoyed that episode. Really quickly, anybody got any general thoughts on that? Feel free to share. I love the episode, and I think we all kind of just love the show overall. Anybody got any thoughts on this episode specifically?
Okay, like I fucking love this episode. It was just like the first few, like the one before, the Halloween one, it got that like dark kind of horror thing going, like it was just creepy as shit. And then you get the Agnes thing, and that was amazing. Like the whole Agatha all along, I'm like, I love it. Like I fucking hit it. It's fine. It's great.
I'm
you know
dead.
what I mean? Yo, I hit that in Wanda. That shit will be magical, bro. Come on now. But it's just fucking great, and it's almost like this show had a build up and build up and build up and build up, and episode 5, 6, pre-ejaculation, 7, 8 was like full blown, and then there goes 9.
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely gotta.
There's your segue. Sorry.
No, you're good, bro. Yeah, no, I genuinely enjoyed this episode too. I thought it was cool. We also get that really sweet superhero landing from Monica Rambeau, which I thought was really cool too. But yeah, overall, the performances, another really great episode that I thought was cool. I like the whole Modern Family office thing. Moving over to episode 8, previously on. This one I liked a lot because this is the episode where we learn way more about Wanda's past. We learned about like how she came to get her powers kind of amplified. Her powers amplified via the stone. We get to kind of, there's that great shot in the moment where she's kind of having that experience with the stone, where she sees the Scarlet Witch kind of like coming out of like some sort of like ambiance. I don't know, some sort of like light. You know what I mean? But we also learn that what the director from Sword had told us earlier about her coming and stealing Vision's body was not true. That she actually came down there, saw that they were dissecting him, and left the body and left. So we learned that he was lying. And the post-credit scene of this episode is the one where we are introduced to White Vision, which was super, super exciting, and definitely left things in a really crazy place with Agatha going full witch mode, having both Tommy and Billy, I believe was their names, by their necks with her magic. And I also believe, if I'm not mistaken, this may be the episode that began, if I'm not mistaken, that began with us seeing Agatha's life as like kind of like that flashback that we got to see of her being a witch in the Salem witch trials. So very interesting episode, had a lot of really cool moments. And yeah, I guess we'll just jump straight in, or just go ahead and talk about the last episode. Obviously, huge, big Marvel action. Characters come together. There's that great shot of Vision, the 2 kids, and Wanda. They're getting all lined up, ready to fight Agatha. You have a lot of people starting in the hex, starting to be unhexed by Agatha, who are just begging Wanda to just let them go, let their kids go. There's a lot going on. There's a huge fight in the sky, and a lot of stuff going on, and it ultimately leads to Wanda becoming the Scarlet Witch, giving us the comic book accurate costume, which she looked amazing in, and really setting her character up to be a really interesting character leading into Doctor Strange, into the Multiverse of Madness. We see that Agnes was left behind to kind of have to stay in the hex, which is kind of confusing because she's still going to be acting in the normal world like she's from the 50s, you know what I mean? But I'm very curious about that. Overall, thoroughly loved this show. Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Catherine Hahn, and so many others. Everybody did such a great job in this show, and I really, really loved the way they wrap things up. There's the big epic action. There's the really great, kind of moments that make you think, and I think that the way that they put it all together at the end of the day left me incredibly exciting. So, Rob, what were your thoughts on it by the time that the season was wrapping up?
Honestly, the last 2 episodes obviously are what everybody really wanted to see and probably were most viewed because of everything, But it's completely different for me. That they were the greatest episodes in my opinion, or 2 of the greatest episodes. But it's mainly because of backstory. I love to get to know about what happens. I love to know how the buildup of things, and to see what happened in that like Hydra. The Hydra Station lab where she got her powers amplified, and you saw the Scarlet Witch come through. That was so sick. That was so sick. And seeing Agatha's background with Salem witch trials, I love all that kind of stuff. I love sorcery. I love magic. So this whole thing was phenomenal. But to see them wrap it up so well, oh my God, that was. We can all agree that was like a fan's dream come true. I really have to give them props, man. That was just beautiful to see that you said it, that scene with the whole family, Vision, Wiccan, Speed, and the Scarlet Witch together fighting crime together. You know what I mean? It was uncanny, and to see them wrap that up. My only thing is, as you said, Agatha, she seems powerful, so I was confused, as to Wanda's punishment for her, but that's not that big of a deal. Whatever, But I loved seeing that, and at the end of the episode, with the whole kids screaming, "Mom!" Mom, and like Scarlet Witch is here, and that was great. That was a great cliffhanger to leave the whole show on. So I'm happy. And I can't wait to see more Scarlet Witch in the MCU.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. It definitely left things in a really exciting place, man. And we in the post-credit scene, we do see her out on doing a Tony Stark, doing a Bruce Banner out in the middle of the woods in a cabin. And she's doing the astral projection that we've seen Doctor Strange do as she's learning from that book. I can't remember what the name of that book is, but it was in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I know that it's played a role in a lot of big storylines. And that's one thing I'm excited moving forward to see is that Scarlet Witch in the comic books, in a lot of iterations, a lot of animated stuff, she is a villain, and they have not really touched on that much in the MCU. She has huge portions of her storytelling where she is a villain, and I think that if they touched on that a little bit more moving forward, it could make for really cool stuff. So I kind of hope she's the villain of Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness. I feel like they could do something cool there. She's already a character that we're invested in, same as Doctor Strange. Some people may not like that, especially people who maybe were introduced to her for the first time with the MCU as she is. But for somebody like me, I've been waiting for this. I actually just recently rewatched X-Men Evolution not too long ago, which is on Disney Plus now, and it was an animated X-Men show that came out when I was a kid. And I watch that show all the time, and Wanda's a huge part of that show. And when she comes into play, I mean, she is a huge powerhouse villain, and they bring a lot of emotion to her character. And so that's something I'm excited for. Like, her whole thing is this just chaotic amount of the chaos magic. Like, that's just kind of her whole thing. So I'm very excited for that. One thing since I was kind of breezing through those last couple episodes, one thing I definitely do want to mention is I love the fact that we got to see Wanda, kind of we got to understand why we're seeing the sitcom thing. The fact that she grew up in Sokovia, loving these old sitcoms, kind of brought her peace and happiness amidst the insanity that was happening around her home. We get to see how Stark kind of started, like how the beginning of her hatred for Stark started with the bomb showing up in their house, and that's where we get to see that the powers, this version, I think this was their way of introducing mutants, because we see that she had powers already as a kid, and they were amplified. We were made to believe that the Mind Stone gave her and Quicksilver their powers, but it turned out that she actually, had the abilities in her. So it makes me wonder if this is their way of introducing that there are mutants out there, and they just kind of used the Mind Stone to amplify her past what she already had. But that was something that definitely was interesting to me. And then one of my favorite moments that I think everybody really loved was this beautiful line of dialogue delivered by Paul Bettany as Vision, where we get to see them back at the Avengers compound before the events of Captain America Civil War, where this is where we get to see them connecting. We get to see their relationship initially blossoming before, because leading up to Infinity War, there really hadn't been much. You know what I mean? Like, there've been little moments here and there, but it wasn't until Infinity War that it's like, oh, they've been getting it on for the last 2 years. But we get to see this great scene where Vision says, they're talking about, I believe they're talking about grief, and I think he says, what is grief if not love persevering? I thought it was a great line. I love the way that Paul Bettany delivered it, and overall, like Rob was saying, I think they just did a great job of wrapping up the season in an exciting way. But I know I am very curious to see if you guys have any different opinions. So Gerard, what were your thoughts on the final few episodes? I know I kind of brushed through a lot of information there, but what were you thinking leading up to the finale of the show?
I really like the finale, even though I don't know if you guys heard, but the director, like the day before they released the last episode, the director said that he said, I think many people are gonna be disappointed with the finale, and I didn't know I didn't know what he meant. But then after when I was watching the finale, I think I'm like, oh, okay, I know what he meant. I mean, I wasn't disappointed, but by then all of us knew that there was no Mephisto, there was no Nightmare, there was nobody, but it was Agatha all along. And
And that Quicksilver was Ralph Boner.
Quicksilver,
We finally
yeah,
get to find out who Agatha's Ralph is. She kept saying, that stuff about Ralph, her husband, or whatever, the guy we never saw on screen, and then we find out that it's actually this dude all along,
yeah,
Ralph
because
Boner.
supposedly that was one of the reasons why people were thinking Mephisto was gonna be in it. The big fly on the window, that was also Mephisto.
Mhm.
I thought the same thing about the Fly. The Fly
Yeah,
is one of the things that caught me thinking that it was going to be Mephisto because he's
yeah,
been a Fly in the comics, and they honed in on it. So I will say that was a little misleading on their part.
yeah.
Like as far as like, you could tease us a little bit, but they kind of,
Uh,
they grabbed our ball sack with like ice cold hands.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was like pointing out like there was Mephisto somewhere. That commercial with the yoga with the shark. Like
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
somebody
yes.
feeding off on magic, on your magic, and so all these things. I was like, yeah, they're gonna be Mephisto, but then, well, we all know that. But no, I really like the White Vision, fighting each other and then going into an intellectual conversation.
Yeah, I meant
Yeah.
to mention
That
that.
was
Yeah,
cool.
That was pretty cool. So I mean, I just like to wrap it up. I enjoyed like the whole show. Like I wasn't. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't excited for the show to begin with because when I saw the trailer, I watched the trailer like twice, and I had no expectations. I didn't understand that what the show was gonna be about because it was very vague, the trailer. So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna watch it, but I have no idea what the show is about. Uh, Vision is dead. Why is he alive? Why is she wearing pointy brass? Why is she in black and white? Why is she, wearing like 80s outfits from the 80s? So all these questions, I'm like, I don't know, but I'm gonna check it out anyway. So I'm glad I did. I'm glad I watched the whole thing, and I'm glad that I had a lot of fun watching the shows and listening to theories. Some theories were legit, other ones were way out there. But no, it was a great show. It was a great show. Oh, and something else. Did you guys watch the last episode? Well, it's not an episode, but like the behind the cameras episode. It was like how they filmed, how they made the show. It's like a 37-minute long.
yeah. I haven't watched it yet, but I know what you're talking about. It's there
Oh,
on Disney Plus. Yeah,
You gotta check it out. You gotta check it
yeah. I
out.
want to for sure.
Yeah, yeah. They get into detail like with the music, with the outfits, with the studio, the writers. They get into details about a lot. So it was really I really like that episode too.
For sure, man. Well, I loved hearing your thoughts, Rob, as well. Tajaya, what did you think about these last few episodes, the wrap up of the season, and then the tee up that they kind of set up for Scarlet Witch moving forward? Tajaya, you hear me? Blacktastic.
oh, it was me. Okay, I couldn't hear it. The best thing for me personally was getting everybody's backstory. Because in the movies, you can't go into a lot of detail because you got 2.5 hours to get this movie, this scene, actor, and get it out. With a TV show, you're able to dive deep into the mythology and the backstory of all the characters. It made me care about Attica. It made me care about Scarlet Witch. It made me care about Vision. I cared about everybody in this show. And even when somebody turned evil per se, when they got their duty to stay in that bubble, man, I felt bad. I really felt bad. And I'm thinking, okay, are the kids real or are they fake? And then all these questions at the very last minute was answered, and just how it ended was cinematic. That last episode was very cinematic. Now you see Marvel putting their stamp on this TV show. Now you see where the money was spent because the last couple of episodes was bananas, and I loved everything about it. The music was epic. The CGI wasn't the best, but it was the best for TV that I've ever seen. So
Yeah, for
I
real.
enjoyed it, man. And they brought everything full circle, tied it up in a nice little bow, said, bam, we gave you what you want. It took a while to get here, but man, it was 2 months of guessing and theories Then when it was all said and done, man, I was totally satisfied. It's perfect.
For sure, man. No, I loved hearing your thoughts. I'm glad to know that you were also really satisfied by the finale. What about you, Willie? What did you think about the last few episodes?
I thought it brought up great points. I did. I do think the last episode, it couldn't help but do it. It just fell into the tropes of Marvel, being just like MCU stuff, and that's okay.
Yep.
Some of the criticism the last episode got was the whole, it didn't live up to what we wanted. But the whole thing is this. When I say we, I'm not talking about you guys, me and everybody else, came up with all these fucking theories about all this shit. And the show never promised it. The show never said Mephisto. I mean, it flirted the fuck out of it. But I mean, I was hell bent. The shark commercial, which cinematic tendency brought up, I fucking love that commercial. That was the best commercial in the whole fucking season. I was like, okay, Agatha is the shark. The surfboard has the little stripy thing. That's Quicksilver. But Quicksilver isn't Quicksilver. It's Mr. Scratchy. So I was doing that I was fucking rabbit holing the shit out of this.
Oh, man,
yeah. But in my defense, at the end, the last episode, Agatha or Agnes, or whatever you want to call her, she killed Sparky too. She fucking looks up at Wanda and says, "You have no idea what you just did." And I think this is Mephisto. This whole battle they did opened up a portal to Mephisto. That's what I think.
It's possible, yeah. I think at this point with the fan, Marvel would be stupid to not bring Mephisto in at some point in the future.
You can't.
With the amount of. I'd be very curious to see how they do it for sure, but yeah, I can understand how the opposite side of things, right? Like I made sure to not really give into the theory, so I can understand how that would be. Like you said, you were down a rabbit hole with it. I can understand how the ending would maybe not be everything you wanted to, and you're not the only person I've heard that from for sure. Like I know some people, I was definitely like that. What were we gonna say?
But it is. She said, "You have no idea what you just did."
Yeah, but I mean, within the context of the show, they don't actually hone in on the Mephisto things.
There's no way you there's no way you fucking flirt that shit the entire time and not do it, dude. Loki had the Mephisto thing, the fucking fly on the wall. Like, come on, dude, come on. I mean, she's got fucking satanic Marilyn Manson shit in her basement, bro. Like, I mean, come on.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was definitely. I was definitely surprised to see that they didn't go in that direction. So, yeah, guys, I think overall, or I think we can say that we all really enjoyed the movie. I do have to wrap things up just because I know some of us have to go. I know that I was texting some of you guys about that earlier, myself as well. But first of all, I just want to thank everybody who watched, whether you're watching live or after the fact. I want to thank my guests, The Big Rob Theory, Cinematic Tendency, Blacktastic Media, Willy Le Sante. You guys can find the links to their channels down below in the description box. They've been there the entire time. But before we wrap this up, I'm just going to give you guys all a chance to just go ahead and let everybody know what you're working on, where they can find you. Like I said, the links to all of them are down below. But if you guys want to say anything else, feel free. So we'll start with Rob, The Big Rob Theory. What you got working on, man? What can people expect from The Big Rob Theory?
Just briefly, I've been working on a Static Shock miniseries for a while. Obviously, with COVID going on and a lot of different things and things transitioning right now, it's been a little hard to get some people together, costumes, various things. But that is still a very prominent thing for me because Static Shock was such an iconic TV show for me back in the day and a lot of my friends, and it wasn't afraid to touch on certain issues. And I feel like revisiting that right now, especially, would be clutch. So that's one thing I'm working on, and just various things for my channel. Just trying to get out there, like a lot of you guys. With your prominent channels, it's just one video at a time. So there's that. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, The Big Rob Theory, and just out here supporting people too. It's just a YouTube family. So I'm glad to be part of the YouTube family, and I just want to be more part of the YouTube family. So that's what I got.
For sure, man. Thank you so much for being here in this video, man. I've definitely really appreciated hearing your thoughts. Cinematic, what about you, man? What do you got working on, or what are you working on? What can people expect from Cinematic Tendency? And before you even say what you're going to say, let me just tell all of you guys. You see all that badass stuff behind him? I mean, watch any of his videos, the amount of stuff this dude has in his background, his collection, his unboxings, we were just talking about it briefly before this. Thousands and thousands of dollars for sure, like just insane stuff that he has in his background. Anyway, Cinematic, go ahead and give your piece here, my friend.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It was great to be here. Yeah, well, right now I do more like reviews, and sometimes I do unboxings. But right now I'm on a streak right now. Like my last several videos have been unboxing, and so I got one more tomorrow, and then I got a few things on the mail. So I mean, coming on the way. So you can expect those. So I'm doing those. I'm doing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier reviews, like most YouTubers. And I'm also doing a series. And actually, I'm gonna have my first guest, which is Anthony. We're gonna be doing the Alfred Hitchcock Presents. It's season 1. It's a show from 1955, black and white. I don't know about the brass. I haven't seen anybody wearing those pointy brass yet. So I'm doing that. So I'm on episode. I just started it. So I'm on the first season. I did episode 3. I'm gonna do episode 4, and for episode 5, I'm gonna have Anthony with me. So we're gonna be discussing one of those shows. It's like a 24 minutes TV show. So you can watch it on Peacock. For free. And so that's movies, TV shows, and unboxing. And you can find me here on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram.
I know.
Awesome, man, for sure, dude. A lot of really great stuff coming out there for sure. What about you, Tajaya? Blacktastic Media, the man, the myth, the legend. What you got going on over there?
Oh, damn, man, making me blush. I'm turning burgundy. No, I just, on Easter Sunday, released my first episode of the documentary of high school baseball, the ups and downs of baseball teams. I dropped that Easter Sunday. Just did a rap party here in Sacramento, California, of Sarah, all the California filming. Now I'm moving on out of state to finish everything where all the big sets are at in Portland, Oregon, excuse me. This week, I released the last episode. If you've been following my short stories, Handsome and Pretty, my version of Hansel and Gretel, part 4, the last episode. I'm going to release that later on this week. And I'm probably going to do an old 80s jam coming up pretty soon for the history of music coming up pretty soon as well.
Hell yeah.
Awesome, man.
That's nice.
Super excited for that, man. It's so much great content coming from all these channels. And Willie, let's hear what you got coming out, man.
Oh shit, dude. So tomorrow I'm announcing my freaking new name for my channel. Because I'm on my favorite podcast, and they're like, "What's your channel name?" Willie with a Y space LE space SA. Yeah, that's fucking fucked up. So he's gonna fucking announce it right here. Yeah, it's Willie Ranson Reviews tomorrow.
Right on, brother.
Awesome, man.
Which fucking makes sense because it's fucking not fake advertising. Other than that, dude, what's going on with me is that I was on here with you guys. It's fucking great. No, like seriously, like I looked at all your guys' channels. No, before I got it, Anthony, you're the shit, no matter what. And dude,
Thanks, man.
Anthony, the fact that you could fucking look at comments while you're listening to us, holy shit! Clearly, you do not have the ADHD I have, because that would not work, bro. Big Rob Theory, I saw your fucking Justice League review. That was fucking sick, dude. You broke that shit down better than I did. Cinematic Tendency, your unboxing videos are the fucking bomb, bro. Like, and you do, your intro has you in a Joker nurse outfit. What the fuck? Like, I couldn't pull that shit off, and you did. Fantastic.
Thank you.
You start that shit with your music and your voice. I don't know if I want to finish your review or invite a girl over for fucking Netflix and chill, bro. Fuck, man. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me on, dude. And I hope we get invited again. But
Yeah,
I love
for
you guys,
sure.
dude.
For sure. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these as time goes on. Hopefully next time starting one a little bit sooner so we don't have to rush to the last couple episodes or something, or just movies in general. I'm really enjoying doing these live streams with multiple people at a time. Makes it a lot of fun.
Cool. Real
Again,
cool.
guys, you guys can find the links to everybody's channel down below in the description box. Please give them some love. As far as what I got coming out, I just dropped a supercut that came out a couple days ago. If you have not seen it, please check it out.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of how that turned out. I highly recommend you guys check that video out. It was really fun. Also, just dropped a review for Finding Nemo with Rashaji Reviews yesterday, and we did a live stream yesterday as well. And either tomorrow or the next day, I will be dropping George of the Jungle, 1997, with the Big Rob Theory himself. So that review will be dropping very soon. Willy Le Sante and I have, or Willy Ransom Reviews, as he says, and I will be dropping a review on my channel for Skeleton Key at some point in the future, and tons of stuff coming out. I'm going to be getting through a bunch of videos that I'm kind of behind on, but there's a lot of great stuff coming on all these channels. So links down below in the description box. Anybody got any final words? No.
Love you guys.
All right. Cool.
Had a great time. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so
This was
much. I
fun,
really
man. This
appreciate
was
it.
fun.
Thank you guys for everybody for watching. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Is that